right, welcome back for the second episode in our Star Trek Rewatch. We'll jump right into it again. I'm using the Star Trek Compendium by Alan Asherman. And today we're going to be talking about Charlie X, which is episode number 2 in broadcast order. It was broadcast in September of 1966. It was a story by the creator of the show, Gene Roddenberry, with a script that was written by D.C. Fontana. And actually, in production order, this would have been episode number 8. But in air order, it's episode number 2. So we'll just give the synopsis. We'll give the director. The director for this episode was Lawrence Dobkin. The composer was Fred Steiner. Photographic effects for this episode were done by the Howard A. Anderson Company. One more thing about D.C. Fontana. D.C., okay, is Dorothy Fontana. Back in those days, they put D.C. in front of the name so that people thought it was a man. It was just the times that they lived in. The 60s were different, and being a woman writer, I guess, you just didn't get very far. So they used her initials. And she would actually go on to write episodes for Star Trek The Next Generation. I know she has story credit on The Encounter at Farpoint, which is the debut episode of Star Trek The Next Generation. And then I know she wrote on an episode for Deep Space Nine. It's called Dax. But we'll jump right into this one. All right. The cargo ship Antares docks with the Enterprise to deliver young Charlie Evans, the lone survivor of a crash on the planet Theseus 14 years ago. Charlie has apparently been alone since the age of 3. The personnel of the Antares, Captain Ramert and Tom Nellis, seem unusually eager to leave the vicinity of the Enterprise. When the Antares is destroyed, suspicion falls on Charlie, who seemed to know the ship's fate before the disaster. Aboard the Enterprise, Charlie begins to work miracles. At first, these are harmless pranks. But when Yeoman Rand spurns his advances, she is erased from existence by the youngster. Various other ship personnel are victimized, and in his eagerness to arrive at Colony Alpha 5, Charlie assumes control of the Enterprise. Captain Kirk attempts to overtax Charlie's control abilities and switches on the starship's interior systems to their fullest extent. A shimmering humanoid materializes on the Enterprise bridge and identifies himself as a Thasian, come to take Charlie back. Despite Charlie's pleas, he vanishes along with the alien, doomed to spend the rest of his life on the bleak planet Theseus. So, Charlie X. We have basically the trope of the godlike aliens, the Thasians in this one. This is going to come back over and over again. Young Charles Evans here, said in the synopsis, was shipwrecked the age of 3 and then raised by the Thasians. He is played by Robert Walker Jr. So from the Star Trek Encyclopedia, you can see the entry there. Robert Walker Jr. was a method actor, and I guess he stayed pretty much in character throughout this episode. It's really kind of a teenage boy being exposed to women for the first time. So Janice Rand, he's kind of like smitten by her, says to Captain Kirk, "Is that a girl?" And Kirk is like, "That's a girl." And then, we get the whole comedic thing of Charlie smacking Janice, played by Grace Lee Whitney, on the hind end, her being offended by it. She tells him to ask Captain Kirk, why that's wrong. He shows Captain Kirk what he did, and Captain Kirk, played by William Shatner, basically comedically says, "Well, Charlie, there's no right way to hit a woman." So it doesn't really help him out a whole lot. There is one scene where Captain Kirk is overheard talking to the mess cook over the galley, over the intercom, saying that he wants the turkeys to look like, he wants the meatloaf to look like turkeys. I don't understand how that works. The voice of the cook downstairs that's talking to Kirk is actually Gene Roddenberry, the creator of the show. I think it's the only time that Gene, you hear his voice or see him or anything. So that's interesting. It's Gene Roddenberry's voice. The dynamic between Kirk, Spock, and McCoy really, we're kind of getting a feel for these characters, right? Leonard Nimoy's character, DeForest Kelley, and William Shatner. We're getting the real, trio of characters here and how they work out and their relationships with each other, which is really nice. Kirk, he relies on Spock and on McCoy's advice. So that will continue to be a thing throughout the series. But I'm trying to think what else to add here. I really don't have a whole lot of thoughts on. My kids are going nuts. We're doing it live. I'm trying to think one more thing that I noticed in this episode. Spock and Uhura. Now we saw Uhura flirting with Spock in the man trap. It continues here. So watching these again, I'm kind of taken aback by the relationship between Uhura and Spock. I kind of see why J.J. Abrams would pick up on this, then make them romantically involved in the Kelvin timeline movies, which I'm not a fan of, but there are the seeds of this in these early episodes, and I think this might be the last one where we see them kind of flirting with each other. But basically this is an episode about an incel. Okay, so that's it. Kirk, or Charlie, he makes this guy named Sam disappear because Sam is laughing. And I think it shows Kirk's mettle that he doesn't back down. He's kind of he's going to stand up to Charlie. Even though Charlie could wink him out of existence just like he did Sam. Now, we said we're going to keep a death count for this series, and I think we have one crewman death. Sam has been consigned to the Oblivion. Charlie he turns one lady into a lizard. He makes another lady turn really old. He makes some other people's faces disappear. He makes Janice Rand disappear when she basically spurns his advances, but then the Thasians at the end bring her back. But we never see Sam, so I'm assuming Sam is dead. Am I wrong? Let me know if Sam is dead or not. But I think we have one crewman death. Poor Sam has been just banished into non-existence. So what do I think about this episode? I think it's a good episode. I don't think it's great. Mainly for the point that it's resolved by a deus ex machina. Literally, a godlike alien shows up to save the Enterprise at the last minute. So it's enjoyable. It's an enjoyable watch. I think Robert Walker Jr. did a fine job. And by the way, if you want to see Robert Walker Jr. in another role, you can see Robert Walker Jr. in The War Wagon with John Wayne and Kurt Russell. He appears in this movie as one of their partners. This movie was directed by Burt Kennedy. It's pretty good. It's kind of a comedic Western. I think it's kind of funny. But he's in it as a kid that specializes in dynamite. So I'm going to wrap it up there. Let me know what you think about this one. I really, I enjoy it. I think it's good. Oh, one more thing. Robert Walker, when he uses his magical powers, he does this thing where he rolls his eyes up into his head, where he's all meow. And it's pretty weird. It's pretty creepy. I like it. It's good. Good effect. Yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching. Have a wonderful day.